Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the BBB podcast. I'm super excited. Today we have the beautiful Jackie Adams on with us. Hi, Jackie.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And welcome to the show. And we've actually participated in the summit together. Was it last week?
2 weeks ago.
Already. Wow.
Time flies.
I know. 2 weeks ago, and it's our first time meeting face to face. So that's super exciting.
Yes, I'm so honored to be here. And it was so wonderful being a part of that amazing summit. I just feel like we all brought our unique gifts and talents and wisdom and just, I don't know, created this whole event and created nurturing and enlightenment and empowerment to the whole world, all the women out there. So
I know. I love it because when you part at the events like this, like, you know, there was a big focus on us, the speakers, meeting each other, which is so cool because I think that it's so important when we're, you know, running our businesses, no matter what it looks like, that we make those business connections. And then, you know, you just don't know, like I've become best friends with so many of them. Like,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think the networking part of women empowerment events in general, it just goes so far because when we can do things together, we can be even more powerful. We can bring variety and, you know, we see things in different ways and we have different gifts and talents that build on each other. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get started, Jackie, I would love for you to take a minute or a few minutes to like introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you.
Sure. My name is Jackie Adams, and I am an integrative hypnotist and business coach, and I help women, mostly female entrepreneurs and visionaries, even corporate women on the corporate ladder, to get seen, heard, and paid by using the power of their subconscious mind. My story really starts 7 years ago when I was just waking up every morning absolutely dreading going to work, feeling guilty about leaving my kids. I hated life because these just default thoughts that were constantly popping in my head of like fear and guilt and shame and everything along those lines. And after some intense self-development, which took a very long time and a lot of peaks and valleys, I finally started to realize, oh my gosh, it is my own doing. Yes, I am not responsible for all these traumas and events that have happened to me over my life. However, I have the responsibility and the power to change the way I think, which then changes the way I feel, and then therefore changes the way I show up in the world, the actions that I take, which then lead to my success. And through the modalities of hypnosis and Reiki and breath work, all of these different things, that was a big part of my healing and my journey. And so it's a big part of what I've also learned and mastered and then integrated into one practice that I really tailor to my clients' needs. And also I do group sessions and things along those lines. And I realized that there are so many women out there, especially in the entrepreneurial space, where we just have this thought pattern program that we don't even know is there, stopping us from taking that next step, stopping us out of fear. And we don't know exactly why, but we find a reason to prevent ourselves from putting ourselves out there, from being seen, from being visible. And that's what it's about. When you can put yourself out there and become visible to the world and become heard, that's when you get to share your gifts. And it's not about you or me. It's about how many people that we can help out there. So I think it often helps when we can just start thinking about, who is it that I could help? Even if it's one person, 10 people, 100, 1,000 people, how could I help them? And what service am I doing to them or myself by staying small, playing small? What could I do to release this fear, release this pattern, and release these beliefs that I have about myself to then show up bigger and better? So that's what I do, is I work with clients on an individual basis and in group settings to just work on the patterns, work on the traumas, and push through it and show up, become successful.
I love that. I love that. And it's actually something that I'm working on at this time too. And I really think, like, whether we know it or whether we're like, we know about this or whether we don't know about this, I think that no matter what, it doesn't matter because it's still working, right? Yeah. It's so I think that, the awareness of it is important. And I think that, who is it that said, what you think about, you bring about? Like, that's
probably a lot of people.
Yeah. But it's a real thing, right?
Yes.
Like, it's a truly real thing. And I think, like, understanding the conscious and the subconscious and our highest self, and being able to, talk to them or, reprogram, I think is crucial in business, but also in other parts of our lives. But today we're going to talk about business. But yeah, like, I think it's so important. And you're right. Like, we have complete power to change it, right? And so I'm going to ask you a question. So sometimes, like, you're going on about your business and life, da 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 da, and like sometimes we don't even know that we have these mindset blocks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like how do you go from running your business, it may or may not be going the way you want, to really having success in your business without you maybe not knowing you're doing so, or maybe you're doing so, but it's like kind of trying to figure out, like, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Right. And I think a lot of it stems from either perfectionism or uncertainty or lack of self-worth. These are things that maybe we don't identify in ourselves or identify with. However, until you're like really digging deep, then you realize it, right? So if you don't know what it is and you don't understand what's holding you back, and for some reason you just can't move forward, that's when there are just so many options to figure out where those come from. But I guess I'm sorry, I'm gonna back up here. My mind is going in 40 different directions right now. So yes, when you don't know, that can be really intimidating, right? Because you're like, why is this? And then what we do is we start asking ourselves negative leading questions. So we'll say, why am I like this? Why do I always do this to myself? Why am I always a failure? Right? And these questions are leading to negative answers, negative information about ourselves. Right? So I think one way to kind of get out of that cycle, just even yourself, is to kind of flip the script on that question. So if you are asking yourself, why do I always do this to myself? Why do I always stop myself? What if you then change that to, what if I wasn't afraid? What would I do if I couldn't fail? How would I show up? What would that look like? So that starts to open up the possibilities, right? And it doesn't necessarily identify all those issues that are deep-seated, but once you can kind of break through the possibilities, it expands your mind a little bit. And I have all sorts of self-teachings, like self-hypnosis or recordings that can help people to kind of break through those limiting beliefs. But when you don't know, it's like you can go to all the strategists in the world. I find a lot of my clients who get into those like just like the loops, the closed loops of negativity, they often just stop themselves, and then they watch like a million courses. They buy coaching from all these people. They know how to do all the things. And yet for some reason, they don't do anything. Or they think, oh, I'm going to do it this way. But wait, maybe this way is better. Or maybe this way is better. And the thing is there's so many different ways to have a business. And there are people who are successful any which route. I just think that if you can just pick one that feels the most aligned, put your blinders onto the rest, choose it, and then choose yourself, flip that script and ask that question to kind of open yourself up in that possibilities. That's kind of the like gateway to like get yourself out of it. You don't have to have a hypnotist. You don't have to have somebody coaching you. I mean, those are all great tools. I think it's just really understanding that your subconscious mind is 95% of your mind. And that's what's running all the programs and all of the internal thoughts and dialogue and patterns. So if you can just understand that and flip that script just to kind of choose and keep going and keep taking action in the direction of your goals, then you can start getting out of it. I don't know if that really answered your question all the way, but
no, yeah, it was very helpful. And I think that, asking the right questions can also, bring it up. Like sometimes I'll like, have some feelings. We all do. And I'm like, why am I feeling that way? Right? Like you start asking yourself the questions to kind of come down to like the reason maybe why you're feeling this the way that you're feeling. Cool. I love it. Like, I think we could probably talk about this all day, but
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So Jackie, how does programming the subconscious mind differ than from traditional goal setting or motivational strategies? Because we all hear it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Go set your goals, like we hear it all the time, but it's like, I feel like sometimes like you'll sit down and you set your goals, but then let's talk about programming the subconscious.
Yeah. I think a lot of us have goals and we get excited and there's possibilities that we want. We write things down, we write our New Year's resolution, or we, watch something motivational. We'll say, I want to do that. I'm going to write it down. And then it sits there because we don't know what to do, or we stop ourselves from doing it and we don't know why. And showing up to take action over and over again and creating a habit takes your conscious mind's effort, right? Like we can create a habit if we want to. Have you ever heard that? Like you can create a habit by just doing the same thing 21 days in a row or 90 days in a row. But how many people actually will override their subconscious mind 21 days in a row when they don't feel like it? So taking that constant action is a way to override your conscious mind to meet that goal. However, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and you're working against 95% of your programming. Whereas when you are subconsciously reprogramming there's many different modalities that you can do this, but I'm going to use hypnosis as an example. Essentially, what you're doing is you're kind of just taking away the power of the thoughts that are just constantly chattering, especially as women. You know how men have nothing boxes? We don't have that.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
We have these like constant thoughts. They're always there, always talking us out of things, talking us into things, distracting us, telling us that we need to do something else and something different. We can talk ourselves out of all sorts of things, especially if they're scary or new or unfamiliar. And that's essentially what our like caveman brain thinks of as danger. But it's not dangerous anymore. Anything new to us is kind of like our body's knee-jerk reaction is to stay away from it because we don't know what it is. That fear of the unknown is a real thing. It's a real instinct. And so when we have those goals, it's like our whole body is working against us. So of course, what are we going to do to meet that goal? Are we really going to override all that programming consciously? That's going to be really hard. So when we talk about subconscious reprogramming, we're talking about essentially putting yourself into a state of calm relaxation, or some people call it a trance state, which level 1 hypnosis with like a light trance. We're literally in level 1 hypnosis multiple times during the day, during the time when you are in prayer or meditation, or even just watching TV. Those are all states of when we are programming our subconscious mind and we don't even really know it or think about it. But a lot of times that chatter goes away at those times. And if we can really intentionally put ourselves into that state, what we're doing is we are allowing ourselves to speak directly to the programs that are running us, that the habits that we don't even think about, because we make hundreds or thousands of micro decisions throughout the day that we don't even think about. Yeah. we don't because they're just running on autopilot. So when we can really remove that layer of chatter, calm your body down, calm your nervous system down, and speak directly to those programs, and sometimes negotiate with them for your highest and greater good, and ask for those programs to go find a creative solution in order to take the actions that are in the direction of your goals. Then once you wake up out of that trance, now you've got your conscious mind and your subconscious mind 100% working towards those goals. And that's where there's so much potential for change, and the change can actually be exponential.
I love it. I think that hypnosis can be a super powerful tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie, when you're talking hypnosis, you're not talking like and fall asleep.
No. Oh my gosh, I know. Sometimes I feel like I forget that people have all these terrible misconceptions about hypnosis, right?
Because for the last few decades or whatever, I know, for the last few decades, you know, that's what we've been seeing on TV. You know, and then you close your eyes and you go in another world.
Yeah, I know. I guess I should maybe talk about some of the misconceptions about hypnosis. First of all, it's not mind control by any means, especially what I do. And also it's not like stagey stuff. There's like the stage hypnosis shows. If you've ever been to one of those, they're very entertaining, and it is truly hypnosis. The people do give their consent to go up there, and they quack like ducks or whatever. But what I do is I help clinically and spiritually to solve problems and get people towards their goals. And the trance that I put people in, when I give suggestions, I've obviously been talking to my client about, what it is they're working on and what their goals are in their business or life or whatever. A lot of times it starts out coming to me with like surface level business problems, and then it ends up being like the deep, dark trauma
deep stuff.
Childhood. Yes, the deep stuff. However, if I ever make a suggestion to that person that isn't in alignment with them, their mind just rejects it.
Right.
I can't suggest something that they don't want to believe about themselves. If you don't want to believe it, if it's not in alignment with you, you're going to reject it, and it's just going to go out the other ear.
Mm-hmm.
Because your subconscious mind is very smart.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. What I do is mostly over Zoom when people are just in their beds at home and they're just relaxed, and I just talk to them. And then at the end, they're aware the whole time, but they just feel really relaxed. And they're like, wow, I actually could hear you. And I didn't have that chatter in my head. And I felt like you really opened up some channels in me. Cause I do a lot of woo-woo energy healing at the same time too. I can feel your chakras for those of you that are into that. And it's a really powerful tool that can be used, but it's not mind control. It's not goofy, silly, and it's not going to go against your value system.
it can actually be truly helpful and truly powerful if you allow it to be, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think, I was introduced to it a few years ago, but I think I'm more now starting to recognize its healing powers more, like literally like over the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I know you've had a lot of change in your life too, a lot going on, and you're growing and everything. So always
and that
opportunities to
itself
grow.
comes with its challenges. So
Yes.
or it did.
Yes, always up leveling. And that's the thing is we're always up leveling and growing. Like even in your journey, you're up leveling and growing right now. And there's always going to be new challenges that you're faced with because you're not the same person that you were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So a lot of times we're constantly rediscovering underlying things in our life or from our past that need to be healed or addressed in order to become that next level version of ourselves.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so I think, did you talk about this a little bit? But so my next question is, what are some practical techniques or exercises that someone could use to program their own subconscious mind?
Well, my favorite is self-hypnosis, and that's what my talk was at the Women Thrive seminar that we did a couple weeks ago. Is I taught everyone how to do self-hypnosis, and that's basically like you don't need a therapist, you don't need a hypnotist with you. You can just do it yourself and program yourself. So I'm not going to go through the entire thing because that would take up a lot of time. However, I'll give a very condensed version right now. And part of it is just knowing what time you're the most susceptible to suggestion. And that is going to be the first 10 to 15 minutes as you wake up and the last 10 to 15 minutes as you're going into a sleep. Our brain waves are in what's called as the theta waves, the theta state. And some people believe that's when you're most connected with God or your higher power. Some people believe that you're just, scientifically, it's proven that you're in a more like calm meditative state and that your brain is more susceptible to suggestion. So whether you look at it scientifically or spiritually, there are benefits. You are most creative. You get a lot of your ideas in that kind of almost like halfway dreamlike state. So if you can utilize those two time frames to your advantage every day, you are going to get so much further faster. So even if you don't do like the full, when I teach self-hypnosis, I teach someone kind of how to induce themselves, how to get deeper, how to give themselves suggestions and then come out of it. Or I just hypnotize myself to sleep a lot of times because that just helps me to get rid of all those anxiety thoughts that we often have running through our minds as we lay down at night. But I say that if you can even just give yourself affirmations, what are the thoughts that you want to think? What are the things that you want to believe about yourself? What are your goals? Share that with yourself. Visualize as vividly as you can in those moments, because that is when you are going to start connecting with your higher self. You are going to start putting your subconscious mind to work, because what your subconscious mind does when you do start visualizing the future version of yourself and all the things that you want is it starts finding solutions. It starts finding the how. A lot of times we get so obsessed with the how that we forget and we lose sight of what it is we want, who we want to be. It's not about the what we want. It's about who we need to be in order to receive that what into our lives. So if we can simply visualize it and we just allow our subconscious to do the work, and then a lot of times we coincidentally, I'd say air quotes because there's no such thing as coincidences, we'll get connected with someone, just like I was talking about before we got on here. I attended your summit a year or two ago, and it was just such a chance meeting that I downloaded this template and then got invited to the summit. And then here I am on the summit with Julie Butler and all these people teaching me all sorts of things. I knew that's what I needed, but I would have never have connected with you or all those people if it weren't for that just like by chance downloading that template.
I know. And it's so true, right? Like, I don't believe in coincidences either at all. 0%. I truly believe that, you meet the people you meet because you are supposed to meet them, or it's that opportunity that you've been looking for that's going to help you achieve XYZ or whatever it is. So we really have to be like open to receiving the opportunities, the connections, and all that stuff, because it's truly like, it's really magical how some of this stuff happens sometimes. I'm like, and it's like, it happens all the time. It's like, I manifested that, or, like, you programmed your brain or whatever, your subconscious, sorry, and then that happened, or you met that person or what, like, you know what I mean? It's crazy cool when you tap into the power of it, the things that can come in front of you, and you're like, whoa. Like, right? Like, I know, like, I met Ramonda 2 years ago before I hosted that summit that you're talking about. I met Raymonda, and I believe that she couldn't participate in the first summit that I hosted, but then I hosted a second one, and she participated, and we spoke a few times because she was on the podcast and stuff like that. And then I asked her to be on so then she was on my summit, and then I applied to be part of the Women Thrive Summit. And, like, it's just kind of like, it was like a trifecta. It was crazy. Right. It was really cool. Yeah. So we really have to keep our eyes open, because this is when we're programming our subconscious that stuff starts happening magically. But if we're like sitting there and we're reprogramming our subconscious, and then we're letting things just go by, and we're not tapping into those, taking the action, right?
Yeah, I think a big part of that is also strengthening your intuition and having more belief that you know what's best for yourself on like a visceral level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oftentimes we're so programmed to doubt ourselves that when we do get that gut feeling, or our heart telling us something, or our throat, or in our head, we just doubt it and we don't listen to it and we shut it out. And then it's kind of like, well, if your subconscious and your intuition and your connection with higher power or whatever is just constantly being ignored, they're just going to stop sending the messages.
Yeah.
But it's we connect with ourselves and we really put it out there what we want, and we visualize what it is we want, and we start trusting our intuition, and we start listening to it. That's the key, is really start listening to it. And even if it seems scary, listen and take the action that it is nudging you towards. I feel like, what if we all just made a commitment to that right now? And
it's so easy. Like, sometimes I even tell myself, if all I need to do is do this hypnosis for 21 days to get what I really truly desire, why am I not doing it? Really? Why? It doesn't hurt. It doesn't, it takes 20 minutes of your time or however long. And then, but you're reprogramming, and it's going to bring you the thing that you're looking to achieve or whatever. Like sometimes I think it's so simple, and it's so stupid for us not to do it.
Right. But then that's you being hard on yourself too, right? All you get to say is it gets to be easy. I'm going to allow it to be easy.
It gets to be easy. And and I think I just thought of that when you were talking, but the other day I was like, because also tapping into the feeling of, what it feels like once you've achieved the thing.
Yes.
Right?
Celebrating in advance. Yep.
Yeah. So the other day I was sitting at my computer, and I was, eyes closed, and I was like feeling the feelings. Yeah. And I opened my eyes, and my husband was standing next to me, looking at me, laughing. And I'm like, I'm feeling the feelings. He's like, I know what you're doing.
But it's just fun to watch you do. And it's so cute. And he probably fell in love with you even more, because who doesn't want to be married to someone who's happy and taps into that,
Yeah. I know. And I'm like, I'm manifesting this or that or whatever.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
It was fun. It was fun. Anyway, okay, back to topic. Okay, so why is it that so many of us get excited about ideas for our business and then we just stop showing up or we don't even start? And what's holding them back?
I mean, I feel like I kind of talked about this a little bit
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
There's so many different things that can stop us from showing up in our business. Like you can go. I went to your summit and there was a speaker on, the like email building list, and then there was Pinterest marketing, and then there was LinkedIn, and then there was like how to create a course, and there's so many different actionable items that you can learn, and you get excited and you want to do all the things. And I think a part of it is just information overload, and we hear so much and then we start like doubting ourselves, thinking, oh my gosh, if I do it this way, then what if I lose out on this opportunity? And then if I do it wrong, then I could fail. And this expert's telling me one thing, and that expert's telling me a different thing. And so we just get this like paralyzation or analysis paralysis, whatever it is. And we just go into this self-doubt cloud loop, and all of these stories start showing up about how I've never done this before. That seems scary. What if I fail? Who's going to think badly about me? What's my boss going to think? What's my aunt going to think? And it just completely paralyzes us and makes us take no action. So, was the question like how to get out of that? Or
the comparison too, right? Like the comparison, like
yeah.
we can,
Oh
and you know, like there's so much stuff online and we can be like, information, like you said it, information overload, and you're like, okay, I don't know what to do now. Like, what do I do that or do I do this? Or and I think like so yeah, I'm rereading the question. Why is it that so many of us get excited about the ideas for our business, but then we stop showing up or don't even start? And I think that what you talked about is exactly what happens, right?
yeah.
I mean, we've all done it. I'm sure, like I
Right.
still do it sometimes, and I look at like, oh, I like how she's doing that. Should I do it like that? But I
Mm-hmm.
think at the end of the day, we have to stop. I unsubscribe from emails all the time because I'm like, nope, nope, this is not serving me. This is not serving me. I need to focus on Julie, knowing me, knowing who I am, and knowing what is in alignment with me, my values, what I want to bring to the table, and go and run with that. Because permission, like full permission, also to keep things simple, right? Like, you know, I don't think that, like, I think that if it's in alignment with you and you want the whole big strategy, like that's cool. But I think that really tapping into who we are as a human being and staying true to our authentic self, I think we can all have success with that.
Absolutely. And I think to your point, complexity is kind of like the enemy of taking action. We make things so complicated in our minds, and yet it's as simple as just showing up. It's as simple as setting a timer for 10 minutes and writing down everything that comes to your mind and just posting it. Perfectionism, complexity, it keeps us stuck. And these are all the patterns. Everything you and I just discussed in the last like 5-10 minutes, these are all patterns that our subconscious mind has been reinforced over the past decades of our life. So it's okay that that's happened. That's completely normal. And also, there is an opportunity to change it. There's an opportunity to recognize it, and there is power in not just recognizing it, but releasing those fears and taking action anyways. And even if you even do that, that's hypnosis in and of itself, is like taking the action, overriding the programs. And the more you do it, the better. But what if you also programmed your mind in the morning and at night? And what if you also had someone guiding you through it, or listen to a program? Sometimes what I do with my clients, because I've got a busy life. I've got 4 kids at home. I've got a lot going on. A lot of my clients are super busy too, running businesses. They have jobs, all this. Sometimes if I can't connect with them for a session, I'll just be like, hey, just voice note me what's going on. I'll record you a session. I'll send it over to you, and you can listen to it as you're going to sleep at night and help you like break through whatever it is that's holding you back. And then in the morning, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I just woke up and I had all these ideas and I'm clear-headed enough to actually just take the action, and I'm not scared anymore. So like overriding those programs can feel like a feat, but it's not impossible. It's absolutely possible.
I love that. That's awesome. And so where do we get hypnosis? I think that's what you have for a freebie, right?
Oh, yeah. So
yeah, so we have the higher self activation methods.
Yes. I am so excited. I just created this incredible recording and workbook, and essentially it's called the higher self activation method. And it's really helps you to identify who is your higher self, who is that version of you that has the highest potential. It's not a different person, it is you. However, it's this essence of this human being who has broken through all these limiting beliefs. Who is it? And it helps you just find her, integrate her on like a total cellular, molecular, spiritual level. And then you work through these questions at the end to kind of help bring like what you're going to do moving forward to activate her. And it's just like a really amazing experience that I've done, and a few people around me have tried, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I can't wait to share it. It's totally free, and I'm going to have the link. Actually, I know what the link is in my head. It's jackieadams.com/higher self.
Okay, easy. Sounds good. Yeah. But I'm also going to put that in the show notes.
Excellent. Okay.
So we'll have the link for everybody, so that if you want this amazing method, make sure to grab it. Even if you don't want it, it's probably a good idea to grab it anyway. Because there's going to come a day where you're going to be like, oh yeah, I could really use that method by Jackie. Yeah. So download it. So Jackie, tell us, where can we find you? And if someone's listening to this and are like, oh my God, like Jackie is exactly who I need. Where can we find you, and how can we work with you? I know you talked about it a little bit throughout the conversation, but
yeah, thank you so much. I just really appreciate the opportunity to share all of this. And my intention is really just to help anyone. Like, I really feel like women helping women to rise up and to become better versions of themselves, that is going to heal the world. And also, if I could be of service to anyone, I can be found. My website is itsjackieadams.com, and Instagram. I'm all over social media everywhere, but Instagram, YouTube, TikTok is _itsjackieadams. So that's where you find me.
Awesome. I love it. So I'm going to have all the information in the show notes. So if you want to follow Jackie, or even just creep her to see what she's all about and all that stuff after having this conversation with you. But thank you so much, Jackie.
One more thing. I do have a podcast myself. It's called the Subconscious CEO Podcast. So
I love it.
Love for you guys to follow along.
You know what? I'm going to get that link from you too to put in the show notes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I love it. No, it's a good one. Yes. Well, no, because if someone wants to hear more, that's a great opportunity for them to hear more about what you have to say on your podcast. I might have to add that one to my list.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie. It was so great talking to you today. And I know we could have talked more about this on so many other levels. Maybe another podcast episode in the future.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll have you on mine as well.
Awesome. I was going to say, maybe I should be on your podcast, but I didn't know yet if you have guests on your podcast.
I do. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks again for having this conversation with me. It was so great getting to know you more.
You too. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. And if you're listening to this, I will talk to you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.